everyone, today let's solve random IP addresses. We are given a string S, we need to put some dot inside this string to make it a valid IP address. This is two valid IP addresses from this string. So in that case, we should first understand what is the rules to be a valid IP address. Well, it will have 4 sections. So in that case, we have 3 dots. And each section or each segment, the integer value should between 0 to 245. So that's the constraints. So how can we get that result? Well, the idea is simple. We just try to put the dot at each space to see whether it is a valid result. Note, we only have 3 dots to put. So we just try. First, we check whether we can put a dot after 2. Yes, we can, because this 2 is valid number. The range is from 0 to 255. It can be equal. I missed this equal here. Okay, then we put a dot here. Then we need to split the rest into 3 segments. Okay, then we put another dot after 5 because this 5 is also a valid number. Then we left 2 segments. And we check this 5 whether it is valid. Yes, it's also valid. Then we only left this 1 segment. But it's certainly not a valid range because this number is larger or greater than 255. So this is a failed case. So what should we do next? That means we cannot put a dot here. Then we just backtrack. So we put a dot after 2. So we get 52. Okay, then we left this segment. Again, this is not a valid number, so we can just backtrack again. So it's not wise to put a dot here. So can we put a dot here? No, because 525 is not a valid range. So we don't do that. So in that case, we should change this dot. We cannot put after this 5. We should put it after this 5. So we put a dot here. And then we check where we can put a dot after 2. We can put. But this is not a valid answer because it's greater than 255. So we backtrack. We don't put a dot here. We put a dot after this 5. And the rest part is not valid. So we just try every possibility by this way. Because we only have 3 dots. So it actually left us limited tries. We just write it into code. That's enough. This is the typical backtracking problem. Let's write. This is result. It will be our result list. So then we should write a help function to solve the question. Then we just return result. So what will this help function be? First, we need a string. Then, as we can see, we also need to save this current string. So we use a string builder. We call it a cur. And as you can see, we also need to understand how many segments or how many dots we left we can use. And which position are we here? Are we, right? So it's an index. So we need dot, left. We also need index. So what is the best case? As you know, why we know it's not possible? Because we only left the rest segment. So as you can find, the best case should be if the dot left equal to 0. We don't have dot to use anymore. Then we should check whether the rest part is valid. So that will be string, substring from index to the end. If it's valid, then we just append this thing. Okay? But don't forget, we need to append the dot first and plus this string. And we add this cur to string to our result. Okay, this is the result. But no matter whether it is valid, when we don't have any dot to use anymore, we just return. What's the regular situation? When we need to know the right place, because you can treat this index at the left place, and then we need to know the right index. So we check whether this substring is valid. So right should be less than string dot length and the right increment by 1. Okay, if it's valid, so s substring from index to right plus 1. Don't forget to plus 1 because it's exclusive. If it's valid, then cur should append. Well, what should we append? If dot left equal to 3, we don't need to append dot. But if it's not 3, which means we should append a dot before it. So this is if equal to 3. If not equal to 3, we should append a dot. Okay, in the case we need to go to next position. That will be s cur dot left should -1, and the index will be right plus 1. Because we already include the right in cur string, so we must move to right plus 1. Don't forget the plus 1. Okay, so how can we backtrack? We should remove this thing. How can we remove it? Let's just save the previous length will be cur dot length. Then, okay, we cur set length to this length. Okay, we set cur we set length to length. Okay. Well, that is backtrack. Okay, we write a valid here, so we should implement this valid. There will be boolean valid string. So how to check it? First, a simple check. If its length greater than 3, then return false. Do we need to check whether it's less than 0? Is this possible? Is less than 0? Well, maybe this index reached the end. So if it's less than 1, not less than 0, we return false. Okay, another thing is we don't have leading 0. So if the first char is 0 and its length greater than 1, which means they have more than 1 character, and the first character is 0, then it's not valid, so we return false. If integer value of s greater than 255, return false. Otherwise, I think we should return true. So we failed this part. There will be string new string builder, and the dot left will be 3. So we at most can add 3, and index will be 0. Okay, let's try submit. Thank you for watching. See you next time.